Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor all those men and women whose service and sacrifice preserve and protect the foundation of liberty that has made this nation great. They come from all walks of life, and yet they are unified by their willingness to risk their very lives in service to America. They are America's veterans. It is often said that we owe a great debt to our veterans, which is true, but that debt can never be fully repaid. What is the value of our freedom? And how can the sacrifice of a person's life be measured out and counted? It is altogether fitting and proper that we thank veterans and that we honor them with their own holiday. But such honor and gratitude toward our veterans should be a permanent part of our everyday lives. Mr. Speaker, I cannot speak of every veteran in every war to whom great thanks and honor are owed. But I can speak of those nearest to me and to my home of Indiana. Since the commencement of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, 23 soldiers, Marines, and airmen from Indiana's 2nd Congressional District have fallen in service to their country. The names of the first 15 will remain with us forever. Specialist Brian Clemens, Private Robert McKinley, Sergeant Craig Bowling, Staff Sergeant Mark Lawton, Specialist Michael Wiseman, Sergeant David Heath, Lance Corporal James Swain, Staff Sergeant Marvin Lee Trost III, Sergeant Paul Heltzel, Specialist Jeffrey Corbin, Sergeant Ricky E. Jones, Corporal Aaron L. Seal, Private Nathan J. Frigo, Sergeant Craig Foytek, Sergeant Major Jeff McLaughlin. Each of these patriots is missed. Their families and hometowns will never forget them, and our country will be forever in their debt. While 15 young men and women have died in the service of their country from 2003 through 2006, I have had the tragic duty of comforting the families of 8 more fine young men just in this past year. In memory of those 8 heroic individuals, in honor of their sacrifice, I would like to share with this body and with the American people just a little bit about each of these great Hoosiers. On February 18th, Private Kelly Youngblood was killed by a sniper's bullet in Ramadi, Iraq. Although he lived in Mesa, Arizona at the time, I believe Kelly's early years growing up in Westville, Indiana, and his grandparents' continued residence there made him a son of our beloved state. After graduating from high school, Kelly set his sights on military service. His lifelong dream was to serve his country in the military, and shortly after his 18th birthday, Kelly achieved that dream by enlisting in the Army. Following basic training, Kelly was sent to Iraq as a member of the 3rd Battalion, 69th Armor Regiment, 1st Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division. He is survived by his mother Kristen and sister Melanie, and his grandparents, my good friends Charlie and Jean Harold of Westville, Indiana, and many, many friends all around the country. Kelly was known as a loving and kind young man with an excellent sense of humor. His grandmother told the local paper, "That young man was so much fun. He made a joke out of everything." His grandparents will always remember his last Christmas when he worshiped at the Westville United Methodist Church with them. As a soldier about to enter combat, we can be assured that Kelly prayed for peace in Iraq, for his fellow soldiers, and for his country. His loss will long, long be felt among the many people who loved him. Less than 2 months later, on April 8th, Army Private David Neil Simmons of Kokomo was killed when his convoy was ambushed and his Bradley fighting vehicle was hit by an improvised explosive device. This loss hit home because Neil was the kind of young man that everyone in Kokomo loved. With his big smile and his enthusiasm, he made life enjoyable for everyone around him. As someone who deeply loved his family and knew what it meant to be a great friend, he made life better for everyone. He was a grateful man, returning to his high school often to visit friends and to thank teachers and other mentors for their impact on his life. During one of those visits, just a couple of weeks before he was set to deploy to Iraq, he ran into Miss Lovelace, a secretary at Northwestern High School where David went to school. When Janet gave David Neal a hug and thanked him for his service, he became teary-eyed. Upon hearing about his son's death, Neal's dad, David, said, "Freedom is very expensive. You don't know how expensive until something like this happens. My heart goes out to all the families that have to go through this." In the midst of so much sorrow, Neal's dad, David, remembered all the other families. And that is truly remarkable. And it serves as an example to all of us who might become self-absorbed in times of trouble. I was privileged to speak many times with Neal's mom, Terry Tenbrook. Her courage and resolve during so tragic a time impressed me considerably. She is a wonderful mom and a wonderful example for all of us. Only 4 days after the loss of Neal, Corporal Jason Beatles of LaPorte died on behalf of his country while fortifying a base in Baghdad. Jason loved Johnny Cash, and he loved country music. He loved taking his nieces and nephews swimming. He loved fooling around with them and playing games with his brothers and cousins in the backyard. Like many Hoosiers, he loved motorcycles, and he hoped to eventually turn this passion into a career. In many, many ways, Jason always was, as his parents said, a big child at heart. But Jason also loved his country. Moved by the events of 9/11 and inspired by his dad and grandfather who had served before him, his brother and uncles, Jason joined the Army. This lovable big guy became an honorable young man. He became one of America's soldiers. And as one of his friends in the Army said, one of the finest things you could say about Jason, he smiled, laughed, and said, "Jason was just Beatles. What a wonderful young guy."